I'm gonna talk about what's going on with a lot of black YouTubers and a lot of I guess black people are complaining about the war in Iran or the potential war. I wouldn't go, and it's Trump is doing an illegal war and it's a legal act, and we can not go to war if we're in the military because what he's doing is a illegal war. Illegal war. First of all, before you start saying I'm not going to do this when you're in the military, you might want to consult a military lawyer to see if you have a right to disobey direct orders. Because if you don't and you do, I've seen that the time that I spent in the military. I seen two cats go to Fort Leavenworth for disobeying a direct order. One from trying to stay out of going to the Gulf War in '91, and well, one was in Fort Leavenworth, one was in a place called Mannheim, Germany. It was a military prison in Germany. So you might want to have your ducks in a row before you start saying you're going. But even, see, there's an article too that says the president has the authorization, the power to go to war without the authorization from Congress, and there's conditions set why he can totally disregard. He doesn't have to have the approval of Trump of Congress, but you have, and that doesn't even apply to you. That applies to the commander in chief, and that's the one thing that people are getting wrong. They think because um, the president might need the authorization and don't and does not get it, they can say no, I'm not going to war. That's not true. That doesn't apply to you. You still have to fulfill your obligation, your oath. How many presidents have we seen? And there's only been a couple that went to war and didn't get the authorization from Congress. And what happened to them? They don't go to prison. They don't go to jail. You do because that does not trickle down to you like they see in the military. That's above my pay grade. You can't now. The being a direct order would be like something like if you're in a war situation, a combat situation, and say your sergeant tells you to go over there and delete a person, a POW. The person's tied up. He's not causing any problems, and your sergeant go over there and say delete him right now, and you say no. That's disobeying a illegal order or not obeying an illegal order or a direct illegal order. You're telling the person to commit M and it's not legal. Something along those lines, on the spot. But you have people who are even the congressperson, I forget his name, he's saying that he would they're telling people, these people in Congress are telling these soldiers to disobey direct orders when they're not in uniform and they wouldn't do it when they were in uniform. So it's easy to tell somebody you should do this or that when it doesn't affect you. These guys, these people have families. This, in a lot of cases, this is their careers, and to go around of trying to advise them to the direct orders, which they're not going to do anyway, I think is really irresponsible, especially the young soldiers that might listen to it. And now you see this, you see that on a lot of black YouTubers now, with this black people being sent over to war. Look, black people, black America has been fighting wars since the Civil War. And there was a lot of white soldiers that were being deleted, fighting for, as they say, fighting for the North in the Civil War. The Spanish American War we fought, World War One, World War Two, the Korean War, all the way up until now. Black Americans have been fighting and getting deleted in these wars that America has been fighting for well over 100 years. We can do war. We know how to get into wars. That's history has told us that we can get into some wars. Getting out of them is the problem. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. And I know Willie D was on there and he was clapping about soldiers. See, this is the thing. This is not the Vietnam War. This is not a draft situation. There's no draft. You volunteered to do this. Now, all of a sudden, you've been in the army for a few years, you're getting paid, that's great. A war comes up, you don't want to fight it. Like I said, I was over in Germany and I seen the same thing where soldiers did not want to go to it. They got us in the auditorium. They says, the guy, it was our first sergeant, our platoon sergeant came in and says, everybody who does not want to does not want to go to this war, stand up. They said the rest of y'all leave. And it was about 4 or 5 of them, and they dealt with them. Two of them went, two of them didn't. One of them went to jail. The other one was discharged. Dishonorably discharged. That stays on your record forever. It's actually, I think, a bad conduct discharge is worse than a felony, a civilian felony. So I've been told. So you might want to think about that if you're in the military and you thinking about, well, I'm not going to war. Well, why did you join the military? You knew that this day could come. Deal with it. That's my little shtick. 5,000.